All right, and hello, welcome to Birth Workers Without Borders podcast, episode 7, where we're going to be getting into learning and loving your shadow work with Jaz Le Blanc. This podcast was started as a collective effort of Desert Bloom Collective here on the border in El Paso, Texas. Our frequencies will be traveling to the Bay Area today to speak with Jaz, and you could follow Jaz on Instagram at Jazz_LeBlanc, who is also, I would say, a revolutionary therapist, psychic, shaman, counselor, and practices ancestor work. We will be interviewing Jaz today on the topic of learning and loving your shadow or dark side by discussing some questions like, what is the purpose of shadow work? What are the connections between your gifts and shadow work? How long should you be doing shadow work on your own and with others? And is shadow work necessary for healing, and why? So I'm so blessed that Jaz has chosen to join us today and to get into the depths of shadow work. A little bit about Birth Workers Without Borders podcast. So also my name is Serena. I started with Steph and I go by she and her. I'm a birth postpartum doula, licensed massage therapist, birth photographer, and autonomous student midwife. I'm a strong believer with the collective that families are free when they have full control over their own health and bodies. And we created this podcast because we're passionate about educating community and sharing wisdoms throughout fertility, birth, postpartum, parenthood, and the rest of our lives, really. So we're thrilled and honored to introduce Jaz Le Blanc, counselor, coach, shaman in the San Francisco and East Bay. She offers counseling for children, teens, adults, families, and she could go into more in depth of whatever else. She believes in finding the right counselor is essential to successful healing experience, and that it takes courage to take the first step on the journey towards growth and change. And Jaz's website is www.jazleblanc. That's JazLeblanc.com. And so, yeah, without further ado, go ahead, Jaz, and say anything you'd like.
Hi, I am so honored and so happy to be here. Serena, you are doing such beautiful work, and it has been such an honor to watch your journey so far. It's been very brief, but I'm so excited and just so happy to be here, and so glad you have this amazing podcast and just open to this and just like down to like hear what I have to say. And I'm just excited to share medicine with you, and yeah, grateful and honored. My name's Jaz, Jaz Le Blanc, and yeah, I am a psychotherapist. I would say like a modern shaman, and a student of Law of One, of oneness, unity consciousness, enlightenment, empowerment. That is my jam and that is my joy. And I love meeting people who want to know themselves, who want to find their ways, find their paths in their own way, and seeing their own true love and light and creation that is them. My goal always has been just to be of service as much as I can. And I like to do the hard work. I like to do a lot of hard work for that catalyzation, for big changes in the world. So yeah, I'm really excited to talk to your audience and the community about shadow work and just loving these gifts and understanding this. So yeah.
And we were just talking a little bit that you're going to be starting your own YouTube channel too in the future.
Yeah. I'm so excited. Just, so for me, like my process has been, it's like, I kind of like pay attention to what people are struggling with, what questions people have and stuff like that. Like how to manage your mind and things like that. How to actually use, like, work with energy. Like I like energy education. Cause I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions about that. And so I would like to give my perspective over going through a lot of different modalities. It's like I've been through therapy spaces, I've been through spiritual spaces, plant medicine spaces, like all this. And over all that time, like I was like, whoa, okay. And then it just keeps expanding, expanding. But it's actually a lot more simple than we think. So yeah, YouTube channel will be coming out soon. Relaunch of my website will be coming out soon. Lots more content. So I'm excited for this year.
Nice. That's so exciting. Before we also get like right into shadow work and all that, did we say all the titles that you are?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. Like, yeah, I'm a hype woman. You know, I used to do stand-up comedy. I've done a lot of things. I channel a lot. So
Mhm.
it's, you know, it's like however, like I love art and everything. So, you know, but yeah, those are the main things.
Awesome.
Not too attached to the labels either.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, what is your definition of shadow work?
So my definition of shadow work is basically taking beliefs and stagnant energy that we kind of like come into this world with, and we basically are replaying out that energy out in our daily lives. And so it's about taking that energy, really looking at it, um understanding it and releasing the attachment to it. And so doing like a lot of awareness work, a lot of self-love work to know that part of yourself, see those parts of yourself, and try to like understand it and release the attachment. You know, that's like extremely important. I think that there's a lot of things we do and a lot of ways that we operate on a daily basis where we're not always aware of why we do it, but we're doing it because of this old energy, this old kind of like stagnant energy that kind of keeps us back. Like we might want to take our creations and knowing ourselves and stuff like to the next level, but this kind of like old energy is still kind of messing with us. And so shadow work really is looking at that energy, looking at like how it's created a lot of your belief systems and how it's basically taken its shape in what you're like and what you do on a daily basis. Yeah.
So then how are different ways people can access starting that, like journaling, like you're saying group sessions, single sessions?
Yeah. So I would say the first things first is really easy. You have to have the desire. You have to really want it. And then what I mean by that is like you don't have to focus too much on like how to get it done, but you need to really be clear like I want to know this part of myself. I know it's going to be hard. I know it's going to be challenging to look at, but I'm excited to like know this aspect of myself because I know that when I know this and I can love this part of myself and understand it, then I can really make moves. And then what happens is the medicine starts to appear. So it might be a group, it might be a friend, it might be an experience, you might watch a movie. And that's happened to me. That's definitely how it's worked for me is I'm flowing in the love and knowing myself. Like, yes, I love myself. I'm knowing myself. Ooh, okay, let's go. And then some shit will go down, you know, and that's kind of like how it works. And when that shit goes down, because it'll be really intense, maybe like a parent maybe said something to you, a partner maybe said something super triggering for you, and it hits you, that's your shadow right there. Like that's that like that part that you have shame around. That's that part that's like, ooh, like this is like there's like you're poking at this part of me that's really fucking painful. Like, what do I do with this? And that's when you go, that's when you take those moments, take the real life experience moments. Don't just engage in it how you usually would, but just take those moments to be like, okay, sit with it. Sit with it in silence and sit with it from a place of a lot of love. It's okay. I don't understand this right now. This hurts. This doesn't feel good, but I'm okay. Like I was like, I'm gonna just let this kind of like play out. Let's see what this is trying to show me. And so when those moments come up, I always encourage folks, put a lot of love to yourself in those moments, you know? And then things will come up. You'll get a memory maybe from childhood. You'll get a memory from a previous relationship and stuff like that. That's your medicine.
Mm.
That's beyond just the you only just journaling about it and then maybe talking about it with someone. You take that and you keep running with it and you just investigate it with a lot of love, you
Mm.
know? Now, if it's too triggering, and I'll say this, if shit's too triggering and it's a lot for you, do whatever you gotta do to take care of yourself. Like, it's fine. You could tune it out for a little bit and do whatever you gotta do to take care of yourself. You know, like whatever self-care practices you have, do that.
Mm.
But if you have that desire, and that's why I say you have to really want this. And see, me, I got to a place in my life where I was desperate for it. I really want to know myself. I really want this. I'm done with the attachments. I'm done with the forms and trying to just feel good all the time. I said, let's just go there. You know, let's go there. And so I take that experience, offer myself a lot of love. And then I've had the most clarity I've ever had around those situations just by loving and looking at that shadow.
Mm. Sounds like surrender. You have to surrender for the medicine to work. And it sounds like
Yes.
ceremony, what you're saying, like making ceremony and all the different ways you could hit doing your shadow work, whatever makes sense to you.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I'm
Absolutely.
understanding.
Yeah, girl. I know you get it.
And I just don't feel like I personally do a lot in my own life of shadow work, even though I have like, Francis's artwork or different things to, remind me like, what is that? Like I should do that more. But yeah, I was understanding like, oh, that was shadow work. Like I should get back into those thoughts because it isn't comfortable. And that's what people they want to just light and love all the time and not have the balance with like the shadow work.
That's right. That's right. It's beautiful because we have these life experiences that are extremely traumatic, really challenging, but then they catalyze us and it creates this desire. It's like, well, let's create love and like,
Mhm.
let's create this. Like, let's create, it inspires the beauty that we make. You know, it's like every fucking bad experience I've ever had, like, created more of what I do want. But it's like, but then it's like what happens is people try to like really force it, like, man, it's just all love, only positive shit. And it's like, yeah, but I said, yeah, that's good. It's good to know that. But I was like, but then also what's gonna come up is those hard parts, those
Mhm.
like intense parts. And so to like become more one with it is a powerful game changer, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
So what is I guess you did kind of already get into the purpose of shadow work. Um, is there, what is the purpose?
Yeah. The purpose is for oneness,
Mm.
is to become one with all aspects of you. You know, it's like a big part of this experience as a human is there's all these like parts of you, like everything is you.
Mhm.
And a lot of the times what people are doing is they reject a lot of things. Like there's something they dislike, something that's triggering, something that's intense. They push it away. Oh, I'm not about that. I don't like that. This ain't shit. Da, 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 da. Nope, nope, nope. Not realizing that the reason why that's happening is because it's like a lot of like negative things or low vibing things are coming at you is because you need to love that aspect of you, you
Mm.
know,
Mhm.
and which is very hard, that's really hard. And so um it's like light needs dark, dark needs light. So the purpose of shadow work is it's like everyone's about like, yes, healing, love, boom, the community, the people, all this, like the planet, love, love. But I was like, but then we also have to love these parts of ourselves that have been disconnected, that have felt shame, that have operated in fear, that have just all of it. Like you have to like love. It's like, oh, I see why I did that. And like what was going on with me. And I can have compassion for others who maybe are still in that. and still like engage in that energy and stuff like that, and don't have that awareness. I'm so grateful I have the awareness of this part of myself, and I know how to like move. Know how to move in love and wisdom now because of those experiences, and I can appreciate that. So if it comes up, I don't push it away. I can love it. I can embrace it. It's my teacher. When, and for me, for someone like me as well, especially when I'm working with a client, I have to be tuned in with those things, because when it's coming up for them and they're finding their way, I have to shine light on their shadow. I have to shine light on that as well, because that clarity brings that oneness together, that wholeness, their light and their dark as one,
Okay. And I was like trying to understand, because from like a Muslim perspective, and I try to be like, is this spiritual Islam or cultural or, religious or whatever, but they talk about the whispering shaitan, and like, how our thoughts are not always our own thoughts. Sometimes it's like some nasty thoughts that maybe the world, like man, like whatever, but like basically like evil. And we have to remember that we're pure and that that's not us. So, but that's different than what we've been through and our hard experiences and our trauma, which is like more shadow work, I feel like, than like this whispering.
Yes. And oh my gosh, like I love that you're talking about this too, because I love talking about thoughts in general, and like with energy, because the thing is like your energy fuels your thoughts in your body, like it's like, and so like a lot of the times, especially when you're having a hard time, or if the collective is having a hard time, which you're engaged in, then yeah, like hella thoughts will like come through and like kind of come in. You gotta ignore a lot of that shit. You have to ignore it, because yes, like you're saying, it is not like your thoughts are not who you are. Your thoughts can be these powerful kind of like facilitators in you creating and stuff, which is awesome. But it's not who you are though, because it's all coming from your essence, your energy, which is pure, which is love, which is light, which is God, right? That is like what's coming through. But the thoughts in these bodies and these forms, that's not who you are though. It never has been,
Wow, deep. What are some misconceptions about shadow work and what people think it's about?
Child, that it's gonna be forever. You do it forever. You are always going to be broken. You are always going to be traumatized. You are always going to hold that energy and stuff for the rest of your life. And you got to constantly be working at it and healing yourself and doing like a ceremony every other day and stuff. Like that's like one of the biggest misconceptions, For me, I've watched so many other teachers too. And I've watched different healers and stuff like that. It's like, like, my goal is, like I said, if someone works with me, I want you to not have to work with me as soon as possible, because you got it. It's like, oh, I'm gonna throw a couple gems at you. You find that light. You find like this process, how to do this process yourself. And then hopefully you ain't ever got to listen to me or someone like me ever again, And then it's just, things are just reflecting you, But the misconceptions are, it's like especially like when, and this is like my, the downside of psychotherapy is every week you come in and you talk about these problems like nonstop, and you go in and, and there's some good to that, but the downside is like people are only tuning into the trauma, the pain. Oh, this is something I got to work on. And it's like starting the day, moving throughout your day in that energy. It's not helpful, So my kind of style around like how to do shadow work is, and I've talked about it a little bit before, even with you, is like really tapping into the gratitude moment by moment throughout your days. That's like basics. If you can get on that energy, like when you can like really start spending your energy. Don't be like idle, like idle in your kind of thoughts and how you're doing like in your day. Get more like present and a little extra, be a little dramatic, like super extra about you. Like, I'm about to just be loving up on myself all fucking day. Like, I'm taking care of my needs. If somebody asks me for something that I don't want to do, I'm not doing that shit. I'm only doing what I want today. I'm only like offering myself hella loving thoughts today. I'm only like eating bomb food. Like, it's like engage your reality in a lot of gratitude, a lot of presence. And then what starts happening is that triggers the hell out of your shadow. That will trigger and bring shit up, because once you start offering all that love to you, then your stuff comes up, and that's a good thing. People think it's a bad thing because they'll think, well, I'm doing all this self-love work. I'm like engaging all this positive, loving energy. Why is the universe not reflecting me? No, don't trip off of that. That's a good thing, because with the energy that you're flowing into, now you can engage with that in a different way. You can engage with those old energies, those old stagnant energies in a different way. You'll see that like, oh, I've been hanging on to these beliefs about myself that ain't useful. And hell, it ain't even true. So it's like, cool, like, and then you start finding more tools. Like, it's like you hear that video, a friend says something to you, then things start reflecting back to you, affirming who you are, So yeah.
So what are the connections between your gifts and your shadow work then?
Oh, good. Yes. Okay. So I actually wrote about it yesterday a little bit, because like I was getting so excited about this podcast.
Oh, cool.
But I was talking about like mistakes you make. So a good way to kind of like really hone in on your gifts is like, think about like, you can make a list probably of like every criticism that you maybe ever received. Like, this is like a fun process. If you're in like super high vibey space, I would say don't do this if you're hella struggling right now. Only do this like, get yourself in a good energy space. But a good way to do this is like, go through things that everyone's ever criticized you for, even like from childhood up until like now, and like really look at that, right? And and a great example I always have is like, is like people like, when I was growing up, everyone made fun of my voice, said I talk slow, made fun of how I talked. Like, it was just constant. Even my own friends too, just like going in and stuff like that. And then but then it was like, I was like, when I was reflecting, and this is the thing, but when you're practicing a lot of self-love and like you're recognizing how much like your gifts in general and like what you're great at, like what are your themes, like how do you connect, like how are you offering service, like when you start like making those connections, it's like, well, I said, dude, I'm great at hyping people up. I said, I'm great at like really calling in a crowd, like bringing a lot of people together and stuff like that. And so it was like this thing that I was criticized for, and that like I would question my voice, like, oh, like maybe my voice isn't like like what is that? So it's like, look at it like, it's like when you really kind of look at your shadow like on this kind of spectrum, right? Like, I like to imagine experiences, qualities about yourself, right? Like on this spectrum. Now, on the low vibing spectrum, it will look like, oh man, like, oh, I always make this mistake. I always like do this, right? And then there's like you have these lack beliefs around it, like I can't do da 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 because I'm like this. Or like for maybe someone who's always late, never on time or something, like I'm always late, like I don't show up for people and stuff like that, right? My voice, da 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 da. I'm always bringing up the past or whatever, and it just hurts. Like, and I'm like, I can't, like, my emotions, da da da. And so it's like, look at now take that same thing and then look at it from a place of a lot of love and presence and service, right? The other side of that. Wow, my voice is so strong. Someone who's too sensitive. Wow, I can really feel connected to like everyone and what they're going through. And so I see things that maybe a lot of other people don't. And I can tune into things that other people cannot. Oh, okay. Like it's like, oh, I dealt with like a lot of I just being like lonely and stuff, like being alone. I was like, I said, but you know what? I said, but I had a lot of freaking ancestors with me talking to me, giving me lessons, telling me, like giving me truth. So it's like it's kind of great I wasn't too engaged with a lot of people, because I said, it's like, if I'm distracted with other people, I was like, how could that happen? The person that's late all the time, like they show up, they follow their resonance, and they show up exactly when they need to show up at the right timing. How many times have you heard like, oh, I have to go to this job, I have to go to work or something, and then they overslept, missed the job, and then some crazy accident, like some intense accident happened there, and because they just were, spirit was saying you're not supposed to be there. So it's like taking these, and then these are kind of like very soft examples. I'm sure there's like way more intense things, way more heavier things. But again, it's like, again, that's why I said it takes courage to do this work. It takes a lot of practicing self-love, really embodying that love, that gratitude for the experiences you've had. So you can go to those darker parts of yourself and then like offer that part of yourself so much love. Especially if you were a kid and you were experiencing those things. Imagine your kid's self needing all of that love right now in this moment, because that carries on. There's no such thing as time technically. So you loving that part of yourself loves that child even back then too, you know?
Wow, that's beautiful. So how long should someone typically be doing shadow work? It sounds like your whole life.
You know, so I would say this, it is different for everyone, you know. My thing is always everything's a choice, you know, like I don't really believe in like kind of like these concepts of time or whatever. And so I said, yeah, maybe this life, this form that you're in, this is like one aspect of your journey. This form is one aspect of your journey. And you can, if it feels really good to just keep going deep into shadow work, do that as long as you need to, right? However, I always like to put this out as well as like, but however, you can still flow and be in like deepening the love within yourself, deepening the wisdom, tapping into divine intelligence, utilizing a lot of just like being very clear about what you want, attracting what you want, keeping your energy high as possible, because it will give you a lot of experiences. It will provide you all these catalyzing experiences. You may attract a person who maybe you're in a really good place, but you may attract a person who maybe is from your past. And that is maybe your shadow work right there. And it's like changing that story up and like learning those lessons and integrating that back, right? So I like to encourage, it's not forever. Don't do shadow work forever. Don't do it for an extent. Don't be in therapy forever, just going rehashing your shit and how it just keeps repeating over and over. That's shitty. That doesn't even sound appealing. No, follow your excitement, follow what you want constantly, and it will trigger the hell out of your shadow work. You know, like it would trigger going for what you want and following your excitement triggers your shadow, because your shadow is those limitations that said you couldn't do those things or you couldn't be that. So go for it full force, like no fear as much as possible, and allow that shadow to teach you and teach you and teach you. And then you do less and less shadow work, you know, and then it becomes more empowerment. It starts developing to more empowerment, then it starts developing to more oneness. You know, I'm in this space right now. I kind of was like telling my sisters, I said, I've kind of been going through my past, everything I kind of felt fear around, everything I kind of struggled with. It feels kind of scary back then. I'm like, oh shit, let's do it now. just do that shit. Like, ooh, everything I was afraid of, let's just do it. And I'm just doing it, like, not because I want something really out of it, it's just because I'm just down to just keep knowing myself. And that feels great. Like, I just want to know myself. You don't get anything out of this really, except knowing yourself, which for me, that is awesome. But, I would say, like, it's not to get a partner, get a certain amount of money, get these certain experiences, have a certain level of freedom. For me, freedom is formless. Freedom is not this certain in life experience that you're having. It's formless. It is, no matter where you are, no matter like what you're experiencing, can you feel connected to who you truly are, your authentic self, the isness, the beingness that's you, beyond these bodies, beyond this mind, beyond the subconscious, like all of that. Like, can you feel connected to that part of yourself? So that's been my journey and my hope. And so definitely not forever, I hope.
So what would maybe you say to someone? I have a friend that, very in the Western medical system, so many medications, like maybe a lot of those medications helps to silence the shadow work, to silence the gifts, that are like being connected to maybe ancestors, spirits, whatever. But just, that kind of like world where they're never ever feeling like they can access natural plant medicine ceremony or anything outside of just the pills and, trying to be just in society.
Yes, I love that you're bringing this up. I will say this. Um, our resiliency is so way more powerful than Western medicine could ever be, you
Mhm.
know? And I will say this, I will share that I have taken medication before. And but then, like very briefly too. And I was worried. I was like, will I never I said, will I never be able to connect again because I'm engaging in this? Like, will this silence my gifts? Like, will I not be able to go deep within myself and stuff like that? And I was concerned about that. And I had a really beautiful moment. But this is the thing. That's why I say, like, all you need is this, all you need is the desire. You have to want this. You have to want to know yourself no matter what. You have to be hungry for it. You have to love it. You have to love the process. And fortunately for me, that never has stopped. I've definitely had hiccups and taken breaks, but that never stopped. And I had a really powerful moment when I was sitting with my sister, and literally, even on the medication, it came to me. And some beautiful messages came through. And I was like, wow. I was like, I didn't even think that I could still access this part of myself. Like I immediately thought that these pills could totally zone that out. So I do know that that's not everyone's experience, and there's a lot of trauma and a lot of things that go down in Western medicine. It's why I'm such an advocate for, like my hope is that we can have shamans in psych hospitals, in mental health, and there's more of like consulting and a relationship in a community since those systems do still exist.
Mm.
But I would say this, the desire to know yourself is way more powerful than any Western medicine ever could be. And I
Mhm.
love plant medicine because there's no resistance. There's just so much freedom there.
Mm.
It takes you all the way there to look at yourself. It kind of like quickens that process for you. And when you're ready, that medicine will transform your life.
Mm.
Um, I hope I'm answering your question.
You are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I feel like the next question is like probably a good like connector. So then how do we release those judgments and the shame around your own trauma, dark side, shadow?
Mhm. Mhm. Um, I would say so if it's in the beginning of your journey and it's really intense, a great start is tapping into what you do love about yourself regularly. And so that could look like, obviously, maybe it's like have your people, like having your tribe, have your people, have your community, engage in plant medicine if that resonates. Like see what medicine does resonate for you, with the intention that I want to love and know myself, because eventually I do want to like touch base with this trauma, with this pain, and understand that eventually, you know. But if it's really intense, if it's like intense, like I never said just go right in there. Go right in there. Go right in there when you're ready.
Mm.
But the main priority, I would say, is definitely practicing law of attraction, you know, understanding how energy works, understanding the mind, meditating regularly, being silent, and then offering, again, it comes back to offering a lot of love. That means like, what do your boundaries look like? Reflecting on how you uphold your boundaries in your life, in your relationships with yourself. That means what are those, like, how do you connect to spirit? How do you connect to healing and stuff like that? And learning that on your own, not getting it so much from other people. Because the thing is, if that trauma and that energy is kind of still active in you, you want to be very careful about like who you're working with and who you're talking to because of manipulation and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, say, you know, for me, like a great example is when I started practicing Ifa, um, I I was kind of like learning about it loosely from other people, but I just talked to them myself. I want to meet Oshun. I want to talk to her. I want to meet her. And I will go in nature or go to the river myself and sit there and just listen. So always, so with your healing journey, it's making sure that you're doing it. You're trying to listen to your beingness. You're trying to kind of silence everything and listen to yourself. So then that you're able to like feel that on your own without outside energy kind of determining what it is for you.
Mm.
And practicing that kind of like over time, allowing that journey to kind of unfold, is really helpful. So then, as you feel more confident, more assured, okay, I feel ready to look at this now. And then you can look at those hard parts. Okay, maybe these assaults happened, maybe this abandonment happened, maybe this trauma happened. And then you can start kind of making connections of how that energy is operating in your current relationships, because you'll see it. You'll see that old stuff in your current relationships and maybe how you're acting towards people. Maybe you're operating from a lot of fear in friendships or something. And you'll start kind of making those connections and then offer it love.
Mm.
Offer that part of yourself some love. And then doing that slowly over time, then you can go really, really deep. And then that helps release the shame. That helps release the guilt. That helps release the pain, you know?
Mm.
Because anytime like people hurt each other, that's because you had some active trauma, they had some active trauma.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I said a victim needs a perpetrator needs a victim. Those energies meet, you know, never saying that actions are okay and justified,
Mm-hmm.
but know that on the energy tip, they do meet. And so having that compassion and then that empowerment to be like, I have a say in my energy now. I have a say in what I create in my relationships now. Whew, it's so liberating.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Wow, beautiful. So just to wrap everything up, what are some examples someone could use to with high frequency to access and be doing their shadow work?
Yeah. I like to do this thing. Like sometimes people are very much about their mind. And I like to remind people, I was like, y'all all about this organic living and healthy diets and like eating plant-based and all this stuff. Do that shit with your mind and your energy. Do not let any low frequency thoughts, energy into your shit. Even if that shit really resonates and it feels real as fuck for you, you gotta kind of go past. Because what's happening is anything you get riled up around, universe provides more of it. So if it's some shit you don't like if you're experiencing something that you really don't like, or somebody is coming at you and you really don't like it, all right, whatever. Keep it pushing and go on to the next good feeling thought. Go on to the next, tune into more of what you want. So the universe can be like, oh, okay, so we're gonna nix that. We're gonna do more of this. And so it's kind of like go through, I would say a simple way too, like if you need you want to do something, because people love doing stuff. You can go make a list of kind of like the most prominent negative thoughts, the more low vibey thoughts and stuff. And then take those things and flip it. Practice flipping it. Make that shit a positive, make that shit more high vibing, right? There's love there. There is love there. So find the love in those experiences, So then if it does kind of come up, like say a friend or a coworker or whatever brings that shit up again, you can use that loving energy to flip that right there in your own energy. You ain't even got to say nothing to the person. It's not even about how you're responding. It's about how your energy is responding more so, Then what's nice is when you do that over time as well, then the energy will flip, and then you're attracting way more high vibe, people are seeing your gifts more because you're seeing your gifts more. People are now seeing how the energy has shifted. They'll start experiencing that because you are fully embodying that.
Wow, you remind me so much of this healer named Rabia in Fresno, California, who I went to a lot when I was going through just so much crazy spiritual stuff when I was living in Oakland. And it was right around the time I became Muslim and stuff, but so many different things throughout this whole interview. I just keep thinking of her. I'm like, you guys would be such good friends. But she's just this really dope healer from Puerto Rico, and she's just really cool. You guys are both
wonderful.
really cool.
Yo, definitely send me anything about her. I will read whatever she's doing.
Yeah, for sure.
Love that.
Wow, thank you so much. This was so beautiful. I learned so much about shadow work, and you reminded me so much because Chris and I both have taken, my husband and I have taken, and I've been somebody who, as an adult who hates, scared of counseling, anything I could do that's the farthest away from counseling. So I was really comfortable, okay, Francis, refer me to a good friend. And I'm just really thankful because you're giving us more homework and reminding me of our beautiful experience of just all my complaints and you flipping it for us. And that was the best part of the whole experience, was just oh yeah, that is good. I just had to realize it.
Yes. And it's I love that. I absolutely love that, because there's so many that feel alone in it. And when you love on those parts of yourself, that energy spreads. And people can then start embracing their own shadow. They can start embracing those parts that they felt shame around. Whoa, you're hella owning this. I love that. It's fabulous. It's so good. It's so good in ways I don't think people even realize too. It makes that impact. So y'all are amazing, and y'all are doing such beautiful work, and such an honor.
Are you taking virtual appointments, or if people hear about you from this, just contact you through Instagram and your website?
Yeah. You can go on my website and schedule a free 15-minute consultation. You can see if we're a great fit. And yes, I do telecounseling through video call or by phone. We can do a weekly, we can do single sessions. And yeah, I love working with folks. It's great.
Well, thank you so much. This has been Birth Workers Without Borders, episode 7. So thank you and stay tuned in the future.